Vaccine is a huge achievement and it's really going to save a lot of lives, but we still need to know a bit more before we can safely resume international travel.
So what needs to be in place for us to be comfortable with that?
So there are two main things. What we hope for with a vaccine is that obviously it reduces disease. So that means if you get infected with the virus, that you're not going to get sick and hospitalized and die. It'll just be really mild if you experience any symptoms at all. The second thing we hope for with a vaccine is that it'll block transmission. And that's something that I think is pretty key to us resuming our international travel, because that means that if people came from overseas, they're not going to infect anyone who hasn't been vaccinated. And as we're still rolling these vaccines out, and there's always a potential or a part of the population that can't be vaccinated, we really need to protect those people. And we don't have the evidence yet that these vaccines are able to block transmission. So we know that they can block disease, but we don't know yet if they can block transmission. And that's really key.
Is there any emerging evidence on that front though?
I think that slowly there is starting to be some evidence. We're getting that coming in more and more as more countries are rolling out their vaccination programs. But it's actually something that's quite hard for scientists to study because they've got to pick out the effect of the vaccination in between all the other effects of public health interventions, such as lockdowns and border closures. So that data is taking a little bit longer to come in, but rest assured that it'll be in relatively soon and we'll have an idea if these vaccines can actually block transmission. The other important...
Oh, sorry, go on, sorry.
The other important thing we need to be aware of at the moment is the different variants of the virus that are now emerging. So there is some evidence that for some of the variants, particularly the B.1351 variant, which is otherwise known as the South African variant, that the different vaccines aren't working as well against it as we'd originally hoped. That's probably not that surprising because the virus has changed slightly over time, and the changes are in this protein called the spike protein, and that's what the virus uses to get inside our cells. So the bodies we've made, they're no longer as good at blocking that virus from getting into cells. But we still don't have all the data yet on what that actually means for how our immune system totally deals with the virus. So there are lots of arms to the immune system, and it could be that some of these vaccines are still effective, but that's something that needs to be monitored really closely. And of course, that's something we need to monitor really closely with incoming travellers. So it's definitely not the end of the world. As you know, we've learned a lot over this pandemic, and with the vaccine technologies, once we have all the systems in place, so I mean manufacturing, distribution, monitoring, it's going to be really easy for scientists to update those vaccines, meaning that we can get a booster shot that might protect us against those different variants as they come along. So